I'm testing out where is she mentally? Where is she physically? Is she if she won't go at a walk on a lunge, then I'm not gonna she's gonna have a hard time when I ride her too, right? Now if she starts with her I start out at a walk. If she starts to trot, I'm just gonna yield her hindquarters, change direction.
Okay.
So that's the first method of slowing her down is just yield the hindquarters, change direction. And I'll do that 100 times in a row until I get her to just walk like this. And this, like, she's on the verge of bouncing, but she's still walking. She's in a 4-beat gait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
Right. Yeah, I can see it. She wants to do that little.
Yeah, her little bounce. Now I'm going to give her a chance to slow down on her own, and she did. That's what she was doing with me on Sunday. She would kind of break into trot, but I'd wait a couple seconds and she'd slow back down. If she'll do it on her own, I'll just leave her alone. But if she gets into trot and stays in it, then I'm going to work on blowing her down with pressure.
She's testing you then all the time, huh?
What's that?
I think she's just testing you to see if you're consistent with what you want to do.
Yeah, I don't think it's intentional testing me. It's just she has a tendency to go faster than you're asking her to. And that's just her nature. But that's really, really good. If you can get her to lunge at a walk, that's perfect. Then I'll ask her to trot. I'll do trotting and loping, and then I'll see if I can get her to slow down to a walk from a lope. I remember in one of those videos she was telling you how you would just need to do
Me?
you might not always have to. I would for the first couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then just do less and less over time to the point where one day you might not do any and see how she does.
Okay.
But you might every once in a while, even if she gets real good at it, and you don't really need to do groundwork because it's not like she bucks or anything. But you might want to do it just to check in with her and make sure she still knows how to do it.
Right.
So she got a nice relaxed lope there.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. And you suggest keeping her on a lead line.
She's crossfiring there, so there she corrected it. You can do some round pinning. I call it round pinning with her without being on a lunge line. But if you're gonna do groundwork and if you had to neglect one of them, I would just neglect the round pinning and do this where you're connected. Now I'm just gonna slow down my body language. See if I can get her to walk. Perfect. So the back she could come from a lope down to a walk with me just slowing my body language, my speed down. That's really, really good for her. So that means she's paying close attention to what I'm doing. She's paying attention to my movements, to my energy.
I know she's keeping her ear on you too.
Yeah. And sometimes she gets a little irritable.
Yeah, she gets a little pinny eared, but
We see that.
But usually I just ignore that. Most of the time, if I ignore it, they eventually become my friends and they stop doing that. But some mares, like the mare I was riding this morning, the one that came in Monday, she tends to get that way when you're in close quarters with her. But I realize the more I work with her, the less she does it. I guess that would be the goal.
Right.
I'll see if we can slow her down this way just by slowing my movement down. Easy. Good girl. And if she makes the turn where it's more like a U-turn, then I want to keep working on backing her up and then moving the front feet over. So I want her to stop, rotate around the back feet like a windshield wiper.
Okay.
So there she's cross-firing. So you can correct that in two different ways. You can ask her to slow down to a trot. Then lope, ask her for a lope. Or crossfiring right here, you can also speed her up. She'll find, there she goes. Finally switched right when she dove into the dirt. So she's a horse that you do want to correct that. I would just recommend probably just slowing her down to a trot and then asking her to lope again. That's the easiest way to correct it.
I wonder why she does that.
Why does she do that?
Yeah.
Most horses will do it some, especially on a lunge line. Generally speaking, when they pick up, if they're not completely balanced and relaxed, so there she went into a trot and I didn't ask her. So yield her hindquarters, change direction. She's trotting there. I'm not asking her. Yield the hindquarters, change directions. Good. Right there. She's trotting from the yield the hindquarters. Might even back her up some. Get the hindquarters. Back her up. Why am I particular about backing her up? Because she has a hard time getting back on that back end. So
Right.
So just keep working on that. Because if you move these front feet over like this and you feel like she's getting into your space, then it's something. See, if I feel like she's kind of leaning into me, then I might even go into almost a side pass. Get those shoulders moving away from me. Then back her up. Get the shoulders again. So this is an exercise, like if you're struggling, if she's changing directions and she's getting into your space when she does it, then just work on something like this where you yield the hindquarters, you ask the front feet to come over, but then you just go into a side pass or a leg yield. I know it's a lot to think about, but generally speaking, when you change directions, she shouldn't close the gap. So whatever distance is between you and her, that distance should remain the same or get larger when she goes the other way. If she gets closer to you, back her up. If she gets closer to you, then she's doing it wrong. And she's she's one of those, she just takes more effort to get her to back up and move that front end over, but she's getting a whole lot better. So I'm just stepping in here, yielding her hindquarters, then back her up, and then send her over. There, she picked up a trot. Well, see there, she didn't really back up. So I'm gonna ask her to back. Now come over. Good. You see how she created distance?
Yes.
Right there?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for her to kind of move away from me as she departs with that front end. If you're not real, you got to be anal about that, because if not, she'll just start crowding your space. Next thing you know, she'll be right on top of you when you're trying to change directions.
Right.
And the more as you do that consistently, she'll get better and better, where you don't have to do a whole lot of that, for example. So I'm doing the leave the side exercise now, where I'm in closer to her. And I might just do this exercise at a walk today, because she kept trying to trot. So I'll just see if I can get her to just walk. So if I feel her lean into me, I'm going to just bump back like this. So I'm bumping back, like with my left hand, I'm actually bumping up towards my right shoulder. It's back and up like this. And that's going to put some pressure on her to stop moving forward. And then I'm going to drive her away with those shoulders. Good. You're kind of going into what you would do a leg yield in the saddle. Anytime she feels like she has a hard time wanting to do this around a circle. She wants to do this around a circle. She wants to just go straight or kind of lean into you. So it's important to just keep working on those shoulders and making sure that she's bending to the outside around you. And if she starts to kind of get some of that bend, that's better. Right there, she's cutting across a little bit. So I'm being real particular about it right now, but you really you want to focus on that if you want her to just keep improving here.
Right.
Because it's more than just getting her to slow down. It's getting her to be able to bend and getting those body parts nice and supple. Another way you can slow her down, if you're going in a lead beside like this and she starts to pick up a trot, you didn't ask her to, instead of changing directions, you can actually bend her to the inside a little bit and drive those shoulders to the outside. So anytime you do a leg yield when you're riding your horse, naturally it will slow them down a little bit.
It's almost like doing a one rein stop on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, to small, yeah, kind of like that. But I will do leg yields to slow horses down in the saddle too. So if they start to speed up, I'll just move that body over. They still might be going forward a little bit, but I'll see how I move it over.
Right.
And then I'm killing two birds with one stone. She's learning how to slow down, and she's learning how to come off my leg and do a nice leg yield. That energy is much better right here. She's relaxed. I'll just go through a few other exercises. This